right, well, thank you everyone for coming. We are so thrilled to have you. We're gonna cover in this webinar today the various ways that faith communities can play a pivotal role in addressing climate change and creating more sustainable practices. We're gonna go over FACTS's mission, our campaigns, resources, financing options, and how you can get involved. All right, so starting off, give me 1 second here. We getting them. Okay, sorry about that. So my name is Caroline Chambers. I am the Community Engagement Associate here at FACTS. So I handle the Power of Faith Fairfax campaign. And then today we're also going to hear from Claudia Saunders. She is our Community Engagement Manager. She handles the Power of Faith regional campaign. I have our contact information here. I encourage you all to reach out to us if you have any um, questions or comments or concerns. We are big believers in keeping sustainability an ongoing and open conversation, and we would love to keep in touch with you regarding your congregation's interests and needs. So if you are based in Fairfax, you would reach out to me, and if you are interested in Power of Faith outside of Fairfax, you can go ahead and reach out to Claudia. So who we are at FACTS, we are dedicated to local climate solutions powered by faith communities. We believe that faith communities hold a unique ethical and spiritual responsibility to address climate change, and we're here to provide resources to support that mission. Our goals are fourfold. So first, we aim to sound an ethical call for action on climate change. Second, we want to encourage nonpartisan climate policies that reflect a moral stance. Third, we enable congregations to make positive environmental impacts that benefit their communities. And finally, we empower faith leaders and members to champion long-term change and sustainability practices. Okay. And we will hear from Claudia here about our campaigns.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As Caroline mentioned, I am going to go through the different campaigns that Power of Faith, or that FACTS has, excuse me, so you all can get a better understanding of everything we have going on. Our first campaign is Power of Faith, which is what we will be discussing tonight, and more specifically, Power of Faith Fairfax. The mission of Power of Faith is really to empower congregations to make changes that have a positive impact on climate change. So we work to connect houses of worship that are interested in reducing their energy costs and greenhouse gas emissions. We connect them with coaching, experts, and peer support that enable them to electrify their buildings and make these upgrades that are necessary to do so. Our next program is Tree of Life. Tree of Life is a network similarly to Power of Faith. It's for faith leaders, congregations, and houses of worship. And the goal is to help congregations build out their green teams. So that would be a team of individuals that would tackle things like the electrification of a building, or planting native trees, removing invasives, and sustainably caring for lawn care. Tree of Life also works to help congregations develop creation care ministries so that they can learn about how to sustainably care for our planet. Our last program is advocacy. Our advocacy programs work to create policies at the local and state level that address climate change. And we have 5 hubs for our advocacy hubs. We have Fairfax County, Arlington County, Alexandria, Loudoun, and the Central Valley. And those hubs really do a lot of wonderful work, and we're very excited about what they have going on. Next slide. So as I mentioned, tonight we will be focusing on Power of Faith and Power of Faith Fairfax specifically. Our Power of Faith program is funded by the U.S. Department of Energy. It's a program, the goal of it is really to enable and assist congregations in electrifying their buildings and making these upgrades. We recognize that the process can be daunting and it can be challenging for a variety of reasons, sometimes financially, sometimes just because of technical knowledge. So the goal is really to support these houses of worship by connecting them with experts, coaching, and peer support so that they can cut their wasted energy and conserve funding for their missions and other initiatives. Congregations that join Power of Faith will learn how to track their energy usage. They will learn to identify potential areas for building upgrades and electrification. They will also learn about solar energy options. And lastly, we help with securing financing and funding to secure some of these projects. And now I will hand it back over to Caroline.
All right. Thank you, Claudia. So I'll get into Power of Faith Fairfax. So this is going to offer all of the same great perks that Claudia just mentioned, with a little bit extra that's going to be mentioned shortly. So in Fairfax County, FACS is collaborating with the Office of Environmental and Energy Coordination, or OEEC, to support congregations in reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. Together, we're working to align our efforts with Fairfax County's climate goals, such as the community-wide Energy and Climate Action Plan and the Resilient Fairfax Initiative. Our aim is to make it easy and practical for Fairfax congregations to take part in this movement. And by joining Power of Faith Fairfax, congregations can access really valuable resources and take part in broader county-level environmental goals. So the FACS resources and financing, if you are looking to take this step into your energy journey, the first step is going to be this Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU. This is a non-legally binding agreement that essentially outlines the roles and commitments that come with joining Power of Faith. And then there are some financial resources, which would be the matching grant program, the Energy Conservation Assistance Grant, denominational resources, and these can all help support your energy saving initiatives. You will also receive access to our technical guidance document, which details financing options and contractor connections, making it easier for congregations to start and fund their projects. All right, and from here, I will hand it over to Neely Law with the Office of Environmental and Energy Coordination.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Caroline and Claudia, for this invitation to help spread the word about the Energy Conservation Assistance Program. I am the Deputy Director of the Fairfax County Office of Environmental Energy Coordination, and was and continue to be the project manager for this program. Next slide, please. So what is the, can I advance the slides or do you? There we go. All right. So the Energy Conservation Assistance Program has been a Fairfax County program since 2016. However, we updated the program in the fall of 2023 to help accelerate climate action in the community by expanding the type of eligible projects, as well as increasing the funding available for implementation. The program is managed and administered in a partnership with the Northern Virginia Soil and Water Conservation District. The program itself is a cost share reimbursement program, and that means that the applicant provides a portion of the project funding, and they need to demonstrate that they are able to provide that funding to cover the project costs. Upon completion of the project, the county will reimburse part of the project costs. That could be up to 50% or 75% of the project if you are located in a more vulnerable area in the county. The program covers and incentivizes communities to update or retrofit elements in their building to improve energy efficiency, thereby reducing energy use. These projects often result in increasing building comfort and improved air quality as well. The program also supports renewable energy options such as solar, as well as resilience projects like battery upgrades to improve the resilience of the grid, as well as cool roofs to deal with the urban heat island effects. So the box below talks about eligibility of the program. First, the eligible organizations are houses of worship, as well as homeowners association and community associations. So if you live in a common interest property, you would be able to apply to update buildings that are commonly owned in your community. Nonprofit organizations or charitable institutions are also eligible to apply. You are eligible to apply if you own or are allowed to make improvements on those properties, and you state and make a commitment in the cost share of the total project cost. And that cost share could be 50% of the total project costs, or you would be responsible for 25% of that project cost if you are located in a vulnerable area in the community, as I previously mentioned. And that is determined through a mapping exercise and some indices that we have available through our One Fairfax policy and program at the county. So once the application is submitted, it is reviewed for completeness to ensure all the requirements, and it's a type of project that is eligible for funding. We emphasize that pre-approval of the application is required via notification and email before purchasing, signing a contract, or signing that project. We want to make sure that eligible projects are funded and that all these requirements are met for the project. Next slide, please. So I touched on a few of the projects that are eligible for the Energy Conservation Assistance Cost Share Program. But I also wanted to start off with an energy audit, which is also an eligible project for this program. An energy audit is really a decision-making tool for organizations to identify how their building is using energy and identify ways in which you can improve its energy efficiency or look for ways to install renewable energy projects such as solar or geothermal. It really provides a roadmap to help prioritize many times limited resources that an organization may have. It also provides you with some future thoughts about what additional funds may be needed to implement projects for further building upgrades. So to date, we have funded 5 energy audits, and those have resulted in energy efficiency improvements. Energy efficiency improvements focus largely on electrification, of your building, such as heat pumps or appliances such as induction stoves. However, we're also looking at lighting projects, insulation, weatherization. We've approved funding for better insulated doors. So there is a wide range of energy efficiency projects that are available, from low cost to more complex projects. We have also funded 2 solar projects to date. We want to make sure that the eligibility or those projects are installed by a certified professional and that you're offsetting at least 20% of your total energy use of your building. And the energy efficiency and renewable energy projects are reimbursable up to 50% of the project cost, or a maximum of $10,000. We've also added, as part of the update to the program, resilience projects. And that is to improve the resilience of a structure or a property due to increases in hazardous weather conditions, increase in urban heat island and the associated temperatures associated with that. We call it weirder and wetter temperatures, climate impacts. So projects such as cool roofs or battery storage would be projects that you may not have thought of, but would be eligible through this program. Really proud to date that through this program, the community has invested in over $870,000 of energy projects in Fairfax County alone. Next slide, please. So how do you apply? It's a pretty straightforward process. It's an online application. If you scan the QR code, it will take you directly to the application. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email oeecinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov or the number you see below. The information we're asking for in the application is general property information, a description about the project, whether it's an audit, energy efficiency, or a renewable energy project. We do ask for details about the project. We recommend having a couple of quotes from contractors just to protect the customer in terms of getting a quality price and for the product that you are asking for, and estimates on your energy reduction and cost savings from that project. So we hope this provides another funding opportunity for places of worship to consider as they work towards their climate action journey. I'll hand it back over to you, Caroline and Claudia.
Okay, thank you so much, Neely. All right, so from here, we are going to get into our guest panelists. We're really excited to welcome in. We have David Kepley from Providence Presbyterian Church, and then Sharon Strutler from St. Peter's Episcopal Church. So they're going to be sharing their own experiences with implementing energy efficiency upgrades and the positive impacts that they have seen. I have a few questions, so I'll ask them one at a time, and each panelist will get a chance to share. So my first question for you guys is, could you tell me any significant energy efficiency upgrades that your congregation has taken on, including the successful and unsuccessful parts of the project?
Sure, I'll be happy to start off. Can you hear me okay there, Claudia?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great, Carolyn, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, my name is David Kepley. I'm the chair of the Earth Care Committee of Providence Presbyterian Church. And your question is had to do with what kind of upgrades we have undertaken?
Yes.
Am I right about that? Yes. Okay. So what we've done is we had the good fortune, I almost hate to say it that way, that several rather well-to-do members of our congregation passed away and left the church a very large amount of money. So each of the committees, as you can expect, put in their dibs for what they wanted to do. And so I said, for Earth Care, I got a block of money. And I said that the two things I wanted to do was, number one, have an energy audit, and number two, follow up with whatever the audit revealed. And so that follows on to what Neely just talked about. Okay, so we had an energy audit. It revealed 3 areas where we could save significant amounts of energy. One would be to upgrade the software on our HVAC system. Number 2 was to upgrade the insulation in our attic spaces. And number 3 was to improve our lighting. We have an awful lot of fluorescent light bulbs in the facility. It was built in the 70s and 80s. At that time, fluorescent was the way to go. We have something like 568 fluorescent bulbs. And as you all know, that LED bulbs of the same type, same shape and so forth, are, I don't know, something like 80 or 90% more efficient. So replacing a quantity of those would, of course, save us a tremendous amount of energy and would say help the county as well. So We got the energy audit. So we've pursued, first of all, the HVAC software upgrades that were relatively inexpensive. I thought they were overly priced, but okay, as these things go. And so that was done. So that's one done. And then we got some quotes for improving the insulation, since we heard from, oh, I can't remember the name of the contractor, but a contractor came through and checked us out and looked into the attic space in various parts of our church, where they could get at them. And yes, he says, boy, you could sure use that, because of course the insulation that was there when the church was built was probably to code for that period. But times have changed, and the insulation, like wears out. So that means, so he quoted us a price that was $368,000, which was way over our budget. And so I said, well, how about if you just do like one room? Well, the cheapest room was $50,000. So it's like, whoa, okay, that's a lot more money than we have. So we also started exploring the lighting option. Okay, so how do we change out the lights? And there we again showed contractors several, the whole thing. We did a lighting inventory of every light in the place that was not already an LED. And we presented that to contractors, and they came back with big numbers as well. So it forced us to start thinking, wait a minute, many of the rooms in the church are used infrequently. So let's focus on the priority areas. Where are they used the most? The church offices, for example. The sanctuary is already LED. Our fellowship hall. These are places that are used a lot in our commons area and so forth. And so those lights burn a lot. So when we finally focused that down, one of my challenges has been, I'm not on the property committee, but so I've had to interact with folks on the property committee who feel very protective of that whole space. I'm being as nice as I can here. And so it was difficult for me to navigate this, and I'm still struggling with this right now to try to get the right balance of the right stuff and the right contractor and so forth. The final problem we have had is I've put it out to 3 different contractors, one of whom enthusiastically said, yeah, we'd be happy to bid on this project. I gave him the whole inventory of all the lights that need to be done, and that was back in April, and I still haven't heard back from him. I followed up with him several times. I don't get it. I thought when you wave money in front of contractors, they leap for it like seals going after fish or something. I don't know. Okay, so that didn't work. The second contractor we dealt with has worked with us for a long time, but doing onesies and twosies. And so here's, a significant number of lights that would have to be fixed and rewired and so forth to get around the ballast problem. That contractor, we've been pursuing him and his wife for 7 months now, and we've yet to get a legitimate bid from him. So a third contractor who's worked with several other churches in our presbytery in the National Capital area, and he was eager to work with us and has provided us with quotes, and we just have finally, I think, nailed down how many fixtures we want to work on, and trying to really nail down what the scope of work is so that he can bid on it appropriately. So that's kind of where we stand right now. It's kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think I'm praying for the good to win out in the end, as all of us would. So hope that helps answer your questions, Carolyn.
Yes, thank you so much. And Sharon, if you wouldn't mind sharing your church's energy efficiency upgrades.
I'm having trouble with Zoom on my computer.
Oh,
Can you
gotcha.
hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. If you can't, let me know. I'm going to stop the video. That seems to fix the problem. So I'm with St. Peter's Episcopal Church. We are actually in Arlington, Virginia, and we're a little not quite as far along as David's church is. We've done two things thus far. We have, we're undertaking a ASHRAE level 2 energy audit, and I can explain the difference between ASHRAE level 1 and ASHRAE level 2 if folks are interested. The audit has been done, but we've been waiting for the last several months for the report. We should be having it any day now, and we will be implementing the most important, I guess, recommendations from the ASHRAE Level 2 report, which in theory will provide us with identifying measures that are the greatest cost benefit in light of our fuel use analysis. In the meantime, what we have done is we took advantage of a couple of freebies from Dominion Energy, which folks should be aware of. Now, I want to caveat this. Nothing is easy when working with Dominion Energy. It's just challenging to work with them. But there are two programs that you should be aware of. Dominion contracts with a group called Honeywell, and Honeywell runs the free Dominion programs. The program that we found the most helpful and we have implemented and has been very useful is a program which will allow us to, which would allow a subcontractor that's been approved by Dominion to come in. They are subcontractors to Dominion by way of Honeywell. They come in and they will literally clean all your HVAC equipment. And in particular, this means that they are going to be addressing removing dirt, dust, and debris from the outer condenser coils and the inner evaporator coils on all the equipment we have on site. And this is obviously going to increase the cooling efficiency and remove strain on the system, which has to work harder to maintain desired temperatures. And we've already seen a benefit to having these, all of our very many HVAC systems cleaned. In addition, they will do some sealing of duct work. I want to be clear, this is not the kind of analysis that would occur with a full energy audit, such as an ASHRAE level 2, because they just don't provide that level of service. But there were some leaky duct areas that have been resealed, and we believe that is going to be contributing to some energy efficiency savings. If you want the information on the Dominion Honeywell program, the best way to do this is to contact a woman named Ashley. I tried going by email. It was with sort of not very impressive results. Couldn't get the program up and running. Ashley's number, in case anybody wants to take it down, is 804-944-5346. And again, she is with Honeywell, the contractor that runs the Dominion programs. The second program that we availed ourselves of was a program that will come in, or Dominion pays for a contractor to come in and inventory all of your lights. Dominion will then pay for the cost of most of the LED lights. They will pay for the cost of the replacement lights. Now, this isn't 100%. There are some lights that they won't replace, but in any event, they will replace a lot of these lights. The catch, however, is that the congregation then has to pay the contractor or the subcontractor to Honeywell for the cost of installing those Dominion lights. We found out that in a way it's easier, cheaper for us to simply order the lights and then in many cases install them ourselves. So this is a good program. It may be worthwhile for some. I think we probably would have followed through with a contractor, but the subcontractor we are working with also basically decided they no longer wanted to work with the Dominion Honeywell program. And so we were kind of left with a bunch of lights. We knew what the exact replacement should be. And so, as I said, we have decided that we're going to go ahead and purchase these lights and install most of them ourselves. I think that's really where we are. I don't know if people want to know a little bit more about the different types of energy audits, but I will say this. Not all energy auditors are made alike. You want to make sure they have certain certifications, either a certified energy auditor certification or a building energy assessment professional certification, which is an ASHRAE certification. And ASHRAE simply stands for, let's see, it's the Association of, let me make sure I get this exactly right. Is the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers. And they have over 50,000 members in 132 countries, and they establish standards and best practices for undertaking these types of audits. So that's all I have, unless people want to ask questions, which perhaps might be better at the end.
Yeah, thank you so much. If anyone does have any questions about those audits, feel free to drop them in the chat, or when we get to the Q&A section, you can go ahead and ask them. And if people do have specific questions, I may ask for your help in answering them there, Sharon. You may be a little more experienced there than I am. So my next question for the panelists, are there any difficulties or successes that you may have had for getting your church leadership on board with these energy efficiency upgrades?
Sure, I'm happy to start. Like I mentioned in my opening remarks, I've struggled to have a cooperative working relationship with the people on our property committee. They're very jealous of their prerogatives, and so I've had to dance the dance with them. So that's been my biggest struggle. The pastor's been all in on this. My committee's all in on it, but just working across these organizational boundaries sometimes can be tricky.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. And then Sharon, did you have anything to share on that note?
Just say, I don't have a lot to share because we're still waiting for the ASHRAE Level 2 audit to come in. At that point, we'll kind of understand if we have any issues, but we have been briefing our Buildings and Grounds Committee, which is the group that sort of has authority over this kind of stuff. And they're very supportive, and our rector is super supportive. She's really a major instigator in this. So we're hopefully not going to have too many issues, but I'm sure some will pop up.
Right, of course, of course. All right, so my next question are, what resources, conversations, and processes prove to be the most helpful? And are there any additional resources that FACS or the county could provide that would have made these things easier for you?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. Yes, we completed a year ago, completed the ASHRAE Level 2 energy audit. It cost about $5,000. We applied to FACS for a grant, and FACS was able to cover half of that. So that was enormously helpful. And we are in the process now of putting together the application and getting all the data together for the county to the program that Neely Law talked about a little earlier in the evening. So those have been enormously helpful. And we talked to some people I've talked to people in FACS about contractors we might turn to. And they provided me with that information, and I did more research on my own and reflected that information back to FACS. So hopefully others can share that and enjoy that.
Thank you.
So for us, it was very helpful to work with FACS. We did sign an MOU with FACS and did also get a grant from FACS, for which we're very grateful. They really helped get us focused on the journey. I think one of the things that was super helpful for us is speaking to other congregations who had undertaken energy audits and finding out what worked for them, what wasn't so good for them. We did find some groups that did not have a good experience with the energy audit. We are hopeful that we will have a good experience. Our auditor came highly recommended from several different congregations, but has been quite slow in giving us our final report. The auditors tell you that within 2 or 3 weeks, well, actually our contract says within 2 to 3 weeks, they will provide us with a fully executed report. It's now been 3 months. So anyhow, I just caution you, it's going to take longer, I think, than one might expect.
Okay, and then for the next question, is there something that any of you wish that you had known prior to beginning these energy upgrades, and any advice that you may give to somebody who's beginning this journey?
Well, I'll pick up on what Sharon just said. We had an ASHRAE level 2 audit, and like she just as she's saying, it took them a lot longer, well beyond the contract date, to get the final report in. And the final report that we got was not particularly satisfactory. It pointed to areas that we had to do a whole lot more investigating to try to understand the scope of it. And I think that the auditor should have given us that kind of detail, but did not. So caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. That would be my advice.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah.
Well put, David. Well put.
Thanks, Sharon.
I tell you one thing we would really like to have had is, at the time we went forward with our energy audit, we had heard that this one particular contractor was very good. So, and because we had gotten good reports from this energy auditor, we did not look at other potential auditors very seriously. We didn't know how long it was going to take to get the report back. If I had known how long it was going to take to get the report back, I think it would have been nice to have competitively bid this project and to have, and to have had more recommendations for other auditors who would have been qualified to do this work. So, that's the one thing I would really emphasize, is do some homework, see if you can find some other energy auditors that have those particular credentials, ask lots of questions about what they're going to provide you in the report, which is something David, mentioned, that they may not get the information. You may not get the information you need to really move forward based on that one report. And that is going to be really important. And we will be quite disappointed if we don't get the information we need, because we did probe that very specifically with this particular contractor based on conversations we had with other churches.
Yeah, I would add to what Sharon's saying by just saying we did look to a lot of different contractors to provide energy audits. And what I found was a lot of them were more focused on commercial buildings, big buildings, something in Tyson's Corner or something. And when I said, well, how many square feet? And when I told them, it was like it's a joke, like we're too small for them to be concerned. So, you're going to have to call around, and you'll see, and when you look it up in Google or whatever, a lot of different energy auditors, but they don't, they're not always terribly focused on buildings our size. So just
Yes.
caution. Yeah.
That's also true with respect to solar. I would just add that we kind of most of the churches fall between residential and commercial.
Yeah.
And, some of the solar companies that we're working with, because it's almost certain that we're going to go forward with solar in 2025, but some were just not interested in talking to us because we fell in between the cracks. But I think that, same with auditors. I think our auditor is an expert in home energy audits. We're bigger than that, but they have done some church audits too. So, at any rate.
Hey, thank you guys. So those are all of my questions for our guest panelists. From here, we can go ahead and move into, let's see, our general Q&A, and I would like to start off here with a couple of questions that were asked in that Zoom registration link. The first question that was asked was how to reduce energy usage in an old building that can't support solar. And I can give you a couple examples here, but to really get the best answer to this question, I would recommend getting that level 2 energy audit. because like mentioned before, this is something that's going to give you detailed information about your specific building and your specific usage. And that is sort of a roadmap to what upgrades are going to be the best for you, based on your unique usage. But beyond that, education can make a really huge difference. So making sure that people in your congregation are turning lights off when they leave a room, or even better yet, getting timed light switches, keeping any unused appliances or anything like that unplugged, and being mindful of your heating and cooling. If you were to join the Power of Faith Fairfax program, that's a really great way to learn more about what you can do and how you can do it, specific to your congregation and your congregation's needs. The second question that was brought up in that form was talking about how to finance solar. And there are a couple opportunities that were previously mentioned in the presentation, so I can give a little bit more detail on that. FACS offers a matching grant that can help give you a boost in funding towards getting solar done, as well as that Energy Conservation Assistance Program grant that Neely mentioned through OEC. Some denominations have access to denominational grants that we can help you apply for and secure that funding with Power of Faith Fairfax. There are also some tax credits or deductions through the Inflation Reduction Act for solar installation on a house of worship. By joining the Power of Faith Fairfax, you will have a lot of help navigating these options and determining what is available for your congregation and what will serve you best. I'd also at this point like to mention that we like to think of solar as one of the last steps in your energy efficiency journey. So the energy efficiency journey is a long road, and it's best to take care of the other projects first to reduce your energy usage before installing solar, so that you can actually avoid buying more solar than you need. You can get a realistic baseline for your efficient energy usage. And so those are all of the questions that were asked in that registration link. I will take a look here at the chat and see. I know there were a couple questions mentioned in here. We'll take a look. Scroll up here. So starting from the top of the questions here, it looks like there is a question for you, Neely, from Joe Plummer, if you would like to take that one first.
Let's see. Scrolling at myself. Okay, what is the reasoning behind the 20% minimum for solar installation? The theory behind that, like any of our reimbursement grants, we want to ensure that there is a certain level of investment to reducing overall greenhouse gas emissions on a singular project itself. So for example, in our energy efficiency upgrades requiring Energy Star an Energy Star or equivalent rating on those on the energy efficiency side of projects, using the funds to incentivize overall electrification of the building so that you're switching from fossil fuel based gas heating to electric. So similarly to solar, we needed to define some level or threshold to ensure that the implementation of an action is reducing, the greenhouse gas emissions contributing to climate change. And so the 20% was a threshold we thought would be a reasonable expectation. We are aware that there are net zero goals that some faith communities are placing as well. You may have heard of Holy Comforters Church in Vienna, where they did a solar canopy project. And certainly we acknowledge that these projects are very capital intensive in terms of the resources that they require. Solar projects themselves are an eligible credit through the IRA, through the indirect pay requirement, and Faith Alliance for Climate Solution probably has resources if you are a partner with them in this program in terms of how to secure those resources, as well. So is there a cut and dry mathematical, calculation for the 20%? No, but it is a level of offset that we felt we were comfortable with in order to offset, and serve the program's goals. I would like to make a comment though on Sharon's comment about how they used Dominion Energy programs, and we have links on our website at the Energy Conservation Assistance Program, where through the Energy Conservation Assistance Program, any of these other rebates or credits can be stacked on a single project. So if you are doing a project and there are costs associated with Dominion, you could also apply for an Energy Conservation Assistance Grant Program. We have heard from Dominion Energy contractors that their lighting program may be phasing out as standards for lighting in new buildings are requiring, from what I understand, LED lights. So I think once that funding runs out, so if you are interested in a lighting project, you may want to pursue that sooner rather than later.
Okay, thank you, Neely. So the next question in here is also from Joe. It is asking about programs or companies that do performance-based energy service contracts for faith communities. I don't have an answer for this question at the time. If anyone else does, please feel free. It's definitely something I would need to look into a little bit more after the webinar. If you would like to shoot me an email, I can certainly take a look into that and get back to you and provide you with an answer. But right at this moment, I do not have an answer for you. Let's see what other questions are in the chat. Taking a look through here. Okay. So unless I'm missing something, it seems like the questions in the chat have been answered. And yes, we can send the slides out if you all would like, so that you can have this information available to you guys. But anything else from anybody, drop it in the chat.
I was just going to add that we are, because we are moving pretty far down the pike with solar, we have a lot of experience with that, and so we can be a resource in that arena. We've learned a lot going through this process, and not only is the 30%, I'll call it rebate, it's not really a rebate, available under the IRA for congregations, assuming that doesn't go away quickly in 2025 with the new administration, but the availability of SRECs, which are energy credits that you can receive annually. And that's a bit of a complicated process, but that's something available that can offset some of the costs of the solar installation.
Thank you so much. All right. Anything else from anybody? If there are any questions that pop up later on, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I can certainly take care of that. But if nothing else, Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I look forward to working with all of you as you embark on your own journey for energy efficiency. I will send out the slides for you guys if you would like them. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
you.
everyone.
Thank
Great job. Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sharon? Oh, never mind.
Thank you.
Do you have Sharon's contact while we're still on?
I can get it for you.
Well,
I'd like to take her up on consulting with her. David, I have yours, but I
okay.
don't did it first.
Sure.
And I can also, we explored going with solar and got quite a ways down the road, but it just got too expensive. But so I learned an awful lot through that process, but sounds like Sharon is in a much better position to talk with you, but I'm happy to talk as well.
Yeah, and we are stuck exactly where you are in terms of buildings and grounds and the coming up with issues.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's the nicest way to put it, isn't it?
I mean, they have a real issue. They have some real issues. The heating system's going kaplooey. Needs to be replaced, and that's more money than they've got. So
Yeah, that's the way it always is.
Yeah. Caroline, this is Jeff Johnson from Unity of Fairfax. Yes, I would like to get in touch with Sharon as well. I've been part of a committee for 10 months at Unity of Fairfax looking at solar installation, geothermal, solar canopy, whole host. I would like to know what contractors that she's been talking to, because we have a number of contractors that we've been working with as well.
Sure, yeah. I will send that over to both of you guys as soon as the meeting ends. I'll pull up her email and shoot it over to you guys.
Okay,
And
thank
me
you.
too.
Sure.
Sure.
I'm assuming who we are pops up on your screen.
Yes, I've got your names down, and
Yes.
yes, I will shoot an email with her contact info so you guys can get in touch with her.
Thank you
Yeah.
very
Of
Okay.
course,
Thanks.
of
Thanks, Caroline.
help
course.
us get
Thank you, everybody.
re-energized to get, you plug and then you just get so tired of start again.
Sisyphus.
Time to get focused locally again.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.